So now we're ready to get started. With the wording of this, what type of cross is this a normal one? Is it codominance? Is it incomplete dominance? Or what would you guess? Nope, not incomplete. This one is because it says it here. This would be like if you're crossing where flowers appear on pea plants, if they're axial, terminal, if it's tall, if it's short. So this is just a regular cross where you have the dominant trait here. That's why there's two capital B's. And then this is your recessive trait. Now, typically when we see a cross like that, if it was tall and short, they all would be tall. But they're not all quite black, okay? Because we know that Angus breed shows you black coat color. Then the Charolais, which is I think a French breed of some sort, looks like that's a French term, you'd have two lowercase b's, okay? Typically, when you see this, you would say they're all going to be black, but it's not quite the case. They're probably a little bit of gray inside of their. Enlighten me, because you probably know more about this than I do. There's some white that shows up in them. Right, it's not pure white. Darker gray would probably make sense, okay? So, what... When it's just one trait like this, what type of cross is that? If you're measuring two traits, it's a dihybrid cross. If you're measuring one trait, it starts with an M. Yeah, it's a monohybrid cross. Okay? So what we would say is 100% of the time, it's going to be a heterozygous cross, but they're not all black, they're not quite white, but we don't call it an incomplete dominant cross. Probably a dark gray is what you would see, okay? Okay? I just thought I'd throw that out there because sometimes you might ask as a student, well, what happens when you cross this breed with this one? And so a lot of the times I really don't, yes. That's a good question. That's why I said I really don't have an answer for that. You would have to ask someone who knows more about dealing with cattle than myself.
And if it's black and white, makes it black nose.
It's more black than it is anything else, right? So would you say 100% black then?
The cow?
Yes.
No, just their nose is black.
Yes.
The cow is dark gray.
Oh, the cow is dark gray.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I just wanted to show this as an example because we've seen, okay, codominant crosses, incomplete dominant crosses, then we have ones like these as well. All right. Okay, so for those of you who have chosen to write these down, I think you call these Aberdeen, would you call them Aberdeen Angus? Because that is, if you looked in the encyclopedia, it would show you, I believe, Aberdeen Angus. What we just call them red poles, which just means it's a dark red color. That's the coat color on these cattle. Okay? But for our purposes, just call them red poles. You don't need to say Aberdeen Angus. I just thought maybe some of you might be more familiar with that term. But so just do that. Okay? Then here we see that Charolais breed again. And then roan here. Okay? Charolais. Okay? So it says, what are the results of a cross between two roan coated color cattle. Okay? So here's our cross. So how do we know that it's those two alleles? There's two roan colors. Here's your key down here. Okay? Because you're going to see problems like this next week. Okay? Because I would be led to believe that on Thursday we'll probably have an evaluation over this. All right? So now it says the heifer has horns. Okay? So what is the heifer's genotype or two alleles if she has horns? They're going to be what type of H's here? Okay, that's correct. Because we refer to our key down here that if one of the bovine, steer, bull, whichever, we say if they have horns, their two alleles are this. Okay? So what does it say about, it doesn't say anything about the bull though. But there's a clue, because you're going to see this too. We want you to be critical thinkers. Okay? And what that means is, it says that there is a chance. Okay? That there's a chance that some of the offspring will have horns. Okay? It doesn't say all of the offspring. It doesn't say none of the offspring. It just says that there's a chance. Okay? So, what would this mean? That all of them, yeah, that's going to have horns. That all of them are going to have horns. Okay? What happens if we do this then? None of them are going to have horns. So then your only other choice would be that if we say that there's a chance that some of the offspring have horns, what does that bull have for its alleles for the horned trait? Which means it's what? It's scurred. That's right. Okay? No, I think we can know that. Because we'll be reviewing that 2 times. I mean, if we're choosing not to do this, then this probably would be pretty difficult. I would agree. But you're doing a lot of this that I think you probably have a pretty good handle on this because you know cattle, probably more so than your classmates, probably more so than me. But anyway, so does anyone still have problems setting these up? Okay, you foil this out. Are we more familiar with this? Okay, well, let's just go ahead and see once what our ratios are. Okay. Okay. So on this line, since this is on the left side, we'll put these over here. What do we have for our first 2 sets of alleles? Okay, because that's our, oops, it's not B. Could, but. Okay, there's our first terms. Then what are our outside ones? It's the same thing. Okay, what about the insides now? Okay, and what are your last terms? Same thing. Okay, this is on the right side of the our cross, so we'll put them across the top. What is our first set? Then what do we got? Okay. Then our inside. And this is the only time that we put the recessive trait first, because we're really not describing what the appearance is. We're just setting up what goes into our table. Then our last one. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and work on that for a few moments, and we'll see if we get the same results. Okay, so as you can see, we're making some progress so far. We got half of them. We'll go ahead and fill in the rest here in just a moment. Okay, so I don't know if you can just glance at that, if you're tuning in a little later, and just see that, okay, that matches what we have. Okay, so then to try to make sure that we don't do the same box twice, okay, just go ahead and pick a trait out, or a box, okay? So what, I put the wrong letter here. We certainly don't want to do the phenotype, or the genotype. We'd rather do this one, the phenotype. Okay. So what outcome do we see here? 2 capital R's is what? It's red pole. So we'll just put RP for red pole. And is it horned, scurred, or polled? Okay, so we got red pole / scurred. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and keep track of those. Okay, so we've got 1. Okay, we've also got red pole here, but what outcome is that? Red pole and what? It's going to have horns. Okay, so we've got one of those. As we keep going, what do we see here? Upper and lower case. We got roan. Roan, and it's the hybrid, so it's scurred. So notice we have 3 tally marks and 3 marks in our box. Okay. So then, what about this 4th one? We got roan and what? Roan and horns. So there's 2. Okay. What do we have here? It's a red pole and what? Scurred. Okay. And what do we have here? Red pole and horns. Okay. So we're going to have to add that. Red pole and horns. What do we have here then? Roan and what? Roan and not horns. And scurred. That's right. So we got roan and scurred. So there's 2. Okay, what about the last one in the far column? We got roan and what? Yeah, so we got to add another one here. Roan and horns. We've got 1. So, if we are halfway through this, how many marks should we have over here? If we're halfway through this, how many marks should we have over here? We should have 8, okay? We got 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. So chances are we're on the right track, okay? So we start the bottom 2 rows. What do we have there? Roan and...
Why do we have 2 red pole horns?
That's a good question. There we have a roan and horns. Okay, this one's probably roan. Okay, so this one right here would be roan and horns then as well. There's two. Okay, now I think we're on the right track. Oh, we got two of those. Okay. Okay. So, head pull, skirt. Sometimes when this happens, the best thing you can do is just start over. We made a correction there. Now I think we're on the right track. What do we have here? Roan and... Okay. Okay. So as we keep moving, we've got 8 here, we've got 8 here. Okay, so we've got roan and skirt. Okay. Then we've got roan and horns. Okay. There we go. Here we've got a new set of traits here. What's 2 lowercase r's? Charlet. And horns, skirt, or pulled? Looks to me like it's skirt. Okay, so we've got one of them. And what do we have here? Charlet and horns. Okay, what's our bottom row? We've got roan and what? Skirt. Agreed. What do we have here? Roan and horns. Okay. Looks like we got Charlet and what? Skirt. And then our last one, Charlet and horns. Okay. So we've marked each and every box. Got 2, 4, 6. Okay. 8, 9, 12. 4 gives you 16. Okay. I believe that's correct. Okay, so you can, it's so easy to make a mistake. Okay? That's why you don't want to rush through these. All right? So, front row. Are we good? Front row. Front row. Okay? Please, thank you. Okay. Okay, back row. Back row. Okay. All right, so we'll have your second paper. We'll sign that on Monday. So we will catch up to you next time. Okay, so that's all we have. We will catch up to you next time.